In today's video, I would like to show you how you can start designing an enclosure for your PCB. More specifically, I want to show you how you can go from a PCB designed on KiCad to a mechanical model in FreeCAD. Before we start, quick disclaimer, I'm not a FreeCAD expert and I'm still learning this workflow myself. So this is a more of a learn with me type video rather than a professional tutorial. If you see something that could be improved or done better, feel free to comment because I'm always open to feedback and because it could be helpful for someone watching this video. Let's start in KiCad. For this video I'm going to design a very simple PCB just for demonstration purposes. The board will include a basic rectangular outline of 100mm by 50mm, one USB-C receptacle, and keep in mind that I'm choosing the footprint with the 3D model, and 4 mounting holes, each designed for 2.5mm screws. Now a quick note on why mounting holes matter. A lot of beginners think that PCB design ends at the schematic and routing stage, but in reality, mechanical design is just as important. If your board doesn't physically fit in your enclosure or your screws doesn't align, the whole project becomes much harder later. So in this case I'm intentionally adding mounting holes early in this design process because those will define the mechanical structure later. The board size in this example is 100mm by 50mm. Once I finalize the layout, I'll export the 3D model from KiCad. This is important because it gives us a reference inside FreeCAD, so we're not guessing dimensions later. Now that the PCB is ready, it's time to download FreeCAD version 1.1.1. This is where things becomes more mechanical and a bit more interesting. The goal in this stage is not to make a perfect enclosure, instead we are building a functional starting point. That means a base shape, proper PCB clearance, standoffs aligned with mounting holes, and later cutouts for connectors like USB-C. As you can see, now we are on FreeCAD and let's start designing the base for your enclosure. So empty file, and let's start creating the new body, new sketch on the XY plane. So let's create the base of our 3D model by looking at our model on KiCad. So we know that we got 100mm by 50mm. We're going to add around 2mm per side for walls and another 2mm for extra space. So let's go on FreeCAD and let's create what we have just said. So we are on the sketch editor and we're going to create our base. So let's start from the center and let's input with the keyboard 108. So 4mm for the walls and 4mm for extra space. The same will be here. Now let's create the first pad of 20mm. Now let's use this button here, 2mm walls. And now let's create the standoffs. So let's create a new sketch. So to be precise, we're going to use these blue lines right here. The first thing that I've done, apply this external protection. So we're going to add this rectangle with the blue lines right here of 2mm by 2mm. And then we're going to input our dimensions. So as you can see, the PCB will stay on this rectangle right here. Then, as we can see from the PCB editor, we know that the center of the mounting holes is exactly 5mm. So this means that we're going to add this rectangle right here of exactly 5mm by 5mm to mark the center of the mounting holes. And now it's time to use the white lines to create the circles for the standoffs. For 2.5mm screws, we can use 2.2 circles. And now we have to also add the outer circles of let's say 7mm. And now we have to replicate this for all the 4 angles. And as you can see, now we are ready to create the standoffs. 8mm. Now let's add our PCB so we can actually see if it will fit. 10mm high and this should be precise because the standoffs are 8 mm high and the base is 2 mm high. The last thing that I would like to do is to add a hole for the USB-C receptacle. So let's create a new sketch based on the USB-C port. So let's use this one right here, and let's and of course 2 mm. Then we can use this one right here. So at this point we already have a base structure for a working enclosure, and from here you can expand this design in many directions. Like I said before, this is my first time properly doing this workflow in FreeCAD, so if I made mistakes or if you know a better approach, let me know in the comments. Right now, if you're following the channel, I'm still waiting for the PCB of the current project to arrive. Once it gets here, I'll test everything and I will create a full video about the project. And after that, we'll move on with the next project that I've been planning for a long time. If you enjoy this kind of tutorials and this kind of projects, make sure to subscribe and we'll see you in the next week.